This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
Well, we're speaking with Thomas Frank, author of Listen Liberal, or Whatever Happened to the Party of the People. The book looks at a growing debate within the Democratic Party over the party's economic policies. Earlier this spring, Republican mega-donor Charles Koch has said he could support Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton over a Republican nominee in November. In an interview with ABC News in April, Koch said he would only support Republican candidates Donald Trump or Ted Cruz if they changed certain proposals, including Cruz's vow to carpet bomb ISIS and Trump's plan to ban Muslims from entering the United States. Koch spoke to journalist Jonathan Karl.
Am I hearing you correctly? You think Bill Clinton was a better president than George W.
Well,
Bush?
in some ways. In other ways, I mean, he wasn't an exemplar.
Yeah.
But as far as the growth of government, the increase in spending on restrictive regulations, it was 2.5 times under Bush that it was under Clinton.
So is it possible another Clinton could be better than another Republican
It's
the next
possible.
time around?
It's possible.
You couldn't see yourself supporting Hillary Clinton, could you?
Well, we would have to believe her actions would be quite different than her rhetoric. Let me put it that way.
That was billionaire Charles Koch talking to ABC News in April. Thomas Frank, author of Listen Liberal, or Whatever Happened to the Party of the People, also a founding editor of The Baffler. Your response to that interview?
That's wonderful. I mean, it's so ironic. I love irony, but you think this is a man that the Democratic Party has spent millions and millions of dollars, assailing and berating and mocking, and the Koch brothers is on the tip of everyone's tongue as what's the matter with America these days, and now it looks like, hey, he thought Bill Clinton was pretty okay. He thought a Democratic president was just fine. Well, he sort of made my point there. A fellow Kansan. That's wonderful.
So talk about what the Bernie Sanders candidacy has meant. I want to go to a clip of Bernie Sanders for a moment. Bernie Sanders, who is not, yet conceded. Let's go to a clip of Bernie Sanders. It was a Democratic presidential debate last year, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders sparring over their plans to address abuses on Wall Street.
Be clear that the greed and recklessness and illegal behavior of Wall Street, where fraud is a business model, helped to destroy this economy and the lives of millions of people. Check the record. In the 1990s, in all due respect, in the 1990s, when I had the Republican leadership and Wall Street spending billions of dollars in lobbying, when the Clinton administration, when Alan Greenspan said what a great idea it would be to allow these huge banks to merge, Bernie Sanders fought them and helped lead the opposition to deregulation.
So that's Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. Thomas Frank, what this has meant, the kind of issues you've been talking about this book, certainly ones that came to the fore this year, and how you feel they're going to affect what happens next after the convention.
Well, look, Bernie Sanders was completely right. Several things leaped out in what in the clip that you just played when he said that the business model of Wall Street is fraud. Well, to a certain degree, he's exactly right. And one of the things that we are going to remember about the Obama administration was its complete failure to prosecute Wall Street executives for a whole long list of apparently fraudulent behavior. And this is one of the sort of abiding mysteries of our time. Why did they do this? I mean, even George W. Bush, remember, got tough with the guys from Enron, who were his pals, his campaign donors, right, his best friends. And those guys are still in prison. But Barack Obama couldn't go after Wall Street, Why not? And it's one of the questions that I really tried to answer in Listen Liberal. And the answer that I finally came up with is that it's not just all the campaign donations. It's a sort of class solidarity between the kind of people that fill Democratic administrations these days, the cream of the professional managerial class, the people at the very apex of our country's meritocracy system, our status system, and the people on Wall Street. I mean, it's not a coincidence that there's this, in the early years of the administration anyway, there's this incredible, revolving door action between the administration and Wall Street. Today, the revolving door is all between the administration and Silicon Valley, but back then, it was as though there was no difference between. They were just both, two different nodes of the American meritocracy, one in Washington, the other, the other in New York City. But Bernie Sanders, to get back to him, when you think about the way that the Democratic insiders and the sort of liberal establishment of this country reacted to him, it was almost like an allergic reaction. What he was saying was just so utterly unacceptable to them. And you think about it, what he's saying is very deep in the Democratic tradition. It's not radical. It's not strange. It's straight out of the New Deal. I mean, he sounds like a New Dealer. He sounds very familiar to me. The things that he was proposing are right out of the Democratic platform when Roosevelt was president, when Harry Truman was president, that sort of thing. And I think for our modern-day Democratic Party, Bernie Sanders represents this past that they think they have put behind them, that they don't think they should need to deal with anymore. There's something about their reaction to him that was just so strange. It's like like he's the bad conscience, the guilty conscience that they want to put behind them. They never want to have to hear that stuff again.
And Thomas Frank, to get to Donald Trump as well and his appeal, obviously he has focused a lot of his attention on these trade deals, on NAFTA and the Pacific Trade Partnership. What about the appeal of Trump to working class voters? Is that real or not from what you can tell?
Well, it's real, but it's shrinking fast. I mean, this guy is a gold-plated buffoon, What we have to consider here with Donald Trump is we have to understand that what's happening with Donald Trump, this is not, there's all sorts of different ways of describing it, but what we're really seeing here is a reaction to inequality. This is what it looks like when vast parts of America are, when the economy has basically dried up and blown away. This is what deindustrialization, at the end of the day, this is what it looks like when, Democrats go around celebrating this wonderful new information economy that we're in. And by the way, they're doing it today on the New York Times op-ed page. They do it all the time. They celebrate that. And the other side of the coin is that, the middle class is shrinking. Wages never go anywhere. The percentage of the gross national product that goes to labor these days is the lowest it has ever been since World War II. Look, for a lot of people, the promise of American life is over. It's gone. And this is only going to get worse under a Hillary Clinton presidency. And, it would get much, much worse under a Donald Trump presidency. But what I'm getting at here is that this phenomenon, inequality, is going to get worse. All the problems that we're looking at today are, economic problems are going to get worse. And 4 years from now, you're going to have another Trump. And, the good side of that coin is that you'll also have another Bernie Sanders. So this can all end. It can have a happy ending. You can have a president in the Bernie Sanders mold somewhere down the road. But there's also really, a frightening side to this. You could have someone like Trump somewhere down the road, and that should terrify us. But that is the direction we're going.
We want to thank you for being with us. The book is Listen Liberal, or Whatever Happened to the Party of the People. It's written by Thomas Frank. He is also the founding editor of The Baffler. As we move